stool for myself, but I'd like to kind of offer these other 4 stools to writer-director Jack Dignan, Kaitlyn Boyé and Cassandre Girard. Can make their way down to the stage, that'd be lovely.
Is Lanika here? Is she making a time?
She's not here yet?
Oh,
no?
In that case, I have a message from her.
Oh, okay.
She said if you didn't turn up, I have to say, sorry, I am lame. You're all cool from coming. Women rock. Jack is alright too. Hope you crapped yourself from the jump scares.
All right, awesome. Wonderful, excellent. Now, Jack. So Jack had a film that screened last year after she died. Suddenly, you've come up with a film that is, completely starkly different soon after your debut feature. I'd like to know, how did Puzzle Box come about?
I was just bored mostly. I didn't have much going on. And I had another film that we're going to shoot next year, and I was like, fuck, that's so, can I swear? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, great. I was like, fuck, that is so far away. So we just kind of came up with this one instead. And so I pitched the idea to Kaitlyn here in like November or December last year. It wasn't even a script at that point. And I was like, hey, do you want to make this movie? Thank God she said yes. And then we just kind of, I don't know, just kind of spun from there. Yeah, it was a very loose script, and it kept evolving until like literally the day of shooting.
So did you write roles for these actors in mind? And what kind of prep did you guys need to do for it?
I wrote it for Kaitlyn. She was always going to be the lead, so thank you for saying yes. And then Lanika, who plays her sister Olivia, she got offered it after the first draft. I didn't write it for her, but I remember her from a different audition for after she died, and I was like, she could be a really good pick. And then Kat, she got cast, I think, like a week before
the shoot.
Yeah.
Did you audition, or
Jack loves my creepy face for some reason, and he actually had cast some other actor before then, which was a male actor. And as they were going through pre-production, they realized that it didn't really make sense to have a male actor playing that role. And I think that from there, the script really evolved, and Jack was like, he literally texted me, was like, hey, are you free? 10 days, we're just shooting something. Like, oh, yeah, I'm free. Just sent me the script, like, okay, this is your role, let me know if you're keen, and we'll make it happen. And I was like, okay, I'll just have a look, and yeah, just jumped right in. Yeah.
Now, the found footage, format, which over the last, I guess, 20 years since Blair Witch sort of really kind of brought it to the attention, to the mainstream, has become very popular. And I get the impression a lot of filmmakers think it's a really easy kind of film to make, when in fact it's not an easy kind of film to make at all, because I think there's some really important elements that you have to get right, but at the same time, should you be sticking to certain rules of the found footage format? What's your sort of take on it? Did you feel like you were bound by rules, or there was rules to break?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, found footage, obviously, it was massive for so many years. I mean, Blair Witch, obviously, but then it sort of went away for a few years, and then Paranormal Activity really kicked it back off again, and there was every single found footage movie. Yeah, Wreck was a great one. Every found footage movie for like 6 years straight was kind of, eventually it became sort of the same thing over and over again. There's not too much you could have sort of done within that genre, and it sort of killed itself off a little bit, which was a shame. Because those early ones, I mean, Paranormal Activity, Wreck, Cannibal Holocaust, other things, they're all really creative movies. And then, yeah, I don't know, it's sort of been making a comeback in these past few years, and I sort of had to ask myself, like, okay, like, if I was going to do a found footage movie, I mean, I've always loved the style, like, how would I go about that? And yeah, I mean, you can't trick people into thinking it's real anymore. I mean, obviously you could have, back with like Blair Witch, people obviously thought that was real. No one's going to think that's real. I mean, we've got people going through fucking doors and shit. Time limits and stuff. So we started it very grounded in reality. It was very much much about these two sisters, and it was about their relationship and about the addiction of drugs and stuff like that, and the endless cycle. And then from there it was kind of like, fuck it, we can have some fun now. So we sort of.
So we did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we detoured a bit from the traditional found footage structure and from the traditional tropes and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fun, I mean, I'm it's a fairly, demanding and kind of ordeal that, you're going through, but what was it like to shoot? Was it arduous? Was it a lot of fun? Tell us about Kaitlyn.
All of the above. It was, I always say it was just a playground. You talked about rules before, like it felt like, I mean, of course, rules, but also for an actor, no, like we never get to do this type of thing, which is so, I don't know, all about connection and performance, and the whole thing was just like a playground. And as Jack said, sort of the script was evolving as we went along the whole process. We shot in chronological order, so it was that was really helpful, I suppose, to go through that journey, and we meet a point in the script and we go, oh, actually, I wonder if this might happen there, or this might happen.
Kept evolving.
Yeah, always evolving. But then, it has its own challenges as well, operating the camera and make sure everything's in focus. And it's at least in protocols like curse. But yeah, it was a playground, and it was a difficult playground at times, but so rewarding and so worth it.
I mean, that's interesting you're talking about, the camera work, because, I mean, when you're using found footage, you're putting the camera in the actor's hands. Some directors, of course, will probably, find that sort of hard to do because they're losing an element of control. I assume you probably had a video split on set, so you were seeing exactly what.
Oh, how wrong you are, sir. I couldn't see shit when they were filming. Literally, the way it worked is super weird as a director. Oh, hey, Jake. Sorry. The way it works on set is we would go into the room, we would sort of block it out, we'd get the movements, I'd show them the shot that I kind of wanted, and then I would leave the room. And I'd give them the space. There was no video split, there was no live stream, there was no monitor, I couldn't see anything. They would shoot sometimes for like 5, 6, 7 minutes at a time. Because for instance, the scene where they're in the bedroom arguing before they switch cameras, that was, I think, like a 6 or 7 page dialogue scene, and that was all one shot, like 8 or 9 takes. And so I would literally leave the room, all the crew would leave the room. The power's off for the entire movie, so we're sitting in pure pitch black darkness the entire time, just dead silent. Yeah, cupboard somewhere, sometimes a bathroom, and they would act it out, and then I would come in afterwards, and I would watch the take back on the little viewfinder on the camera, which was nerve-wracking for these actors. They had to sit there and watch me watch their performance. And then I would give notes, and we'd do it again, and it sort of evolved from there. But it's a very interesting and different way of making a movie.
I suppose then the editing would have been interesting in that sense.
That's why I wanted to edit it myself, because we had so much footage, and we wanted the actors, I wanted the actors to sort of, elevate what was on the page and bring life to it in a way that I couldn't in the script, and sort of find the characters as they went, and add dialogue and new lines and new scenes and things like that. So God, we had so much footage for the film, and I just needed. Not only work with an editor, Alex, who did After She Died, and he's fantastic, and I work with him again on my next film, but this one I just kind of wanted to find the structure and find the characters and find the arc myself.
Now, bringing alive, Cass, the screaming, wow. How did you keep that up?
So, none of the screaming was done on set. It was, most of whatever you saw was actually hissing during the shoot, because we did a test scream the first night of the shoot, and it was way too loud. I mean, it's 1 AM, we're shooting in the dark, it's a residential area, not that you saw any of that, but we're like, okay, let's give it a go. What would it sound like? And someone stood literally at the edge of the gate, which is probably 50, 75 meters away.
We're at the bottom of a hill, and they were at the top of the hill, and they could
Jack was like, okay, we're not screaming. And for 7 days straight, I did not scream. I just hissed, which was probably even scary actually. Kaitlyn was terrified. And all of the screaming was done later on. We recorded it ADR for 3.5 hours. I did lose my voice, thank you. But it was worth it.
I have hours and hours of her screaming on a hard drive.
Just ask him. Yeah.
Kaitlyn, I think this is possibly what your third, your fourth sort of horror, dark genre feature. Yeah. What draws you to these kind of films? Now, what is it that you enjoy and
That's such a good question. That's such a big question. I mean, I think that what I love about horror is that it is a genre where you can kind of explore sort of these. There's more permission to explore like these intrusive thoughts and mental health and darkness and all of these kind of the grotesque parts of being human, but in like a fun, campy way, you know. So there's lots of reasons to love horror. Obviously, it's a massive genre, and I'm kind of just slowly making my way through all the little subgenres. But it's equal parts that, and then also it's a lot of what gets made in Australia. Thanks to Love Creek.
so you get offered a lot of stuff that's here's another horror script. Is that what you're sort of saying?
Yeah. It's sort of something I fell into, but like I love it. Like I do love it. I am grateful for it. But yeah, I don't know.
Australia is a scary place.
Yeah, Australia's a scary place, really. Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
That's right. Yeah. Dark genre. I mean, what's your experience with dark genre, Cass?
I love it. I think it's just such a way to. It might seem weird to put it like that, but I think that a lot of people just see themselves in dark and horror movies, and that's why they're more afraid from it, because it just seems so relatable. There's so many more subjects that can be, you know, talked about in a way that is just more candid, and you know, sometimes you can just laugh or be scared and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm scared, but technically when you dive deep, it touches you so much. And I think that's why it just literally flew across the world from Australia, because it's from here, it's just so raw. I don't know, there is just something about it that is just amazing, and I think it's good that we can just surf on that wave and just, you know, spread the word. Yeah.
Last night in the Q&A with Ursula, we were talking about sort of just the drive to make these films, and sometimes they become quite compelling. And Ursula was, you know, like trying to wait around to get funding. It's like, fuck it, I'm going to make something. Kind of feeling a little bit like, in some ways, maybe there's a little bit of that in this micro budget filmmaking, crowdsourcing, whatever, you know. Does that feel like a future for you? I mean, I know you've sort of probably stepped down a little bit in budget, obviously from after she died, but do you want to kind of rise back up and work with bigger budgets, or do you prefer the creative control that comes with micro budget filmmaking?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, After She Died was obviously a bit bigger budgeted than this one. That was a lot of me asking everyone I know if they could give me some money. I'm very thankful for that. You know, you are in the audience. And then this one was literally just because we were waiting to make the next one, and we're still bringing funds for that. And that next film's going to be a bit bigger. It's going to be, I think its budget's like 10 times the size of After She Died. This was just a little fun experiment that we could sort of do while we were in the downtime from it, using the profits from After She Died and using all the leftover cash, not leftover cash, we spent a lot, but you know, the cash we made back from After She Died, and invested my own personal money and putting into this. It's very tiny budgeted. This film did not cost a lot. These guys have worked for very cheap. Thank you very much. It's fun being in that sort of micro budget genre. I mean, you get a lot of control, especially a film like this. It's found footage. Like we had a 5-person crew and we had a 3-person cast, and it was pretty much just us in a house for 8 days, and we're in control of the entire narrative and the entire arc, and every single thing just comes down to us. You know, there's no peer pressure from everyone else. And I mean, do I want to work like that for the rest of my life? Fuck no, I'm so broke. But like, you know, it's fun. I enjoy it.
I'd like actually to throw questions, if there's any questions maybe in the audience. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask either Jack or Kaitlyn or Cassandre? Anyone?
Really interested to just explore a little further from an actor's perspective. I kind of get a couple of things happening here.